Welcome to the KR Films Entertainment Channel. The movie opens with the main character Jake Sully narrating his simple and peaceful life with his family in Pandora as the chief of the Amatachia tribe. He mentions that he and his wife Neytiri have a total of 5 children now, 2 sons Notham and Lo, actor daughter Tok, their adopted daughter Curie, and a human boy named Spider. Jake goes on to clarify the Curious, the daughter of his dear friend Grace, who died while helping the Navi people fight against humans. As for Spider, he was left behind when all the humans returned to Earth after losing their battle. Jake states that the children play together and take good care of one another despite being different in color and body size. Jack mentions that all of the children live to gather like a family. However, Neytiri does not like Spider because he is revealed to be the son of Colonel Miles Koresh, the evil man who almost wiped off the Novus. It turns out that Spider was left behind on Pandora because he was too small to be transported back to Earth. As he says, you can't put babies into cry of sleep. Carrie, on the other hand, has a special connection with Spider. It is really fond of him as the human boy has spent all of his life with the Navi people. He thinks that he is one of them. One night when Neytiri and Jack are talking, they noticed some bright spaceships in the sky. Suddenly the spaceships approach them and start wreaking havoc. The romantic higher habitat is torched with flame, resulting and widespread destruction and deaths of many animals from the spaceships. A group of soldiers with robotic artillery emerge and finish off whatever else is left of the place. Neytiri and Jake, who are watching from afar, are shocked to learn that it is en route, a spaceship carrying humans who are there to colonize Pandora and build another main operating station. The scene then shifts to one of the human laboratories where scientists have successfully created a Navi clone of the Colonel. He has been fed with the memories and data that were collected prior to his death. Because of this, the Colonel's clone knows everything except to kill them and how. Along with the Colonel, the scientists have also manufactured the clones of other soldiers who were present during their previous attack on Pandora. As a result, the Colonel and his men are hell-bent on destroying the Yamato Kayakan, in particular Jake. Meanwhile, in an attempt to ward off intruders, Jake leads a Navi army towards the road train supply lines. He successfully infiltrated and manages to steal ammunition and food supplies. During this operation, one of his sons, Lorak, does not listen to his orders and gets himself wounded. Jake scolds him and asks him to be more disciplined from here on out. On the other hand, the Colonel meets Senior General Ardmore, who informs him about the Navy's flying partners called Scouts. They are currently attacking their helicopters and slowing them down. Hearing this, Quaritch makes a master plan to invade the forest where they battled previously and gathers some information about them. Soon he arrives at the forest along with his other companions. Unfortunately, Jake's children are also playing around in the same forest. Right then, the Colonel looks around the previous battlefield and discovers his robotic suit with his remains still inside. All of this is observed by Lorak, and he immediately contacts his father with the help of a voice transmitter around his neck. Jake listens to this and suggests that Lorak stay away from them and leave the place quietly. He and Neytiri that fly toward the forest to check on their children's safety. Sadly, when Lo and his siblings try to flee, they are captured by the humans. The Colonel takes a closer look at their fingers and gets to know that they're his arch-rivals' children. Just then, Neytiri and Jake arrive there and attack the soldiers. They manage to free most of their children, but not Spider. The boy is unfortunately taken away by the evil humans. Later, when the Colonel asks Spider his name, he quickly understands that he is his son back at home. That's a kayak. Jake approaches his wife and suggests that they leave the place and head towards the eastern seaboard. He is worried about Spider revealing their location to the Colonel and his people. Jake also tells Neytiri that until he is there with the tribe, the humans will keep attacking them, as he is the one who killed Colonel Quaritch in the first place. Neytiri doesn't want to leave her beautiful home, but she knows that whatever her husband is saying is true, hence she agrees to migrate with him. On the other hand, General Ardmore dishes us some cruelty on Spider by placing him in a rotating machine. Yes, put him in the little naked human spinny machine that would make him talk. He tries to extract important information from the boy, but to no avail. So fighters too loyal to his Navi parents, and he just won't bite. Surprisingly, the Colonel cannot see his son in this state, so he immediately stopped the spinning machine. He then approaches the general and tells her that he will handle Spider in his own way. Later, he meets the boy in a separate room and reassures him that he's not a bad person. He also discloses that he's here to take him back to Earth. This warms up Spider's heart and he eventually agrees to provide him with the information he wants. In the next scene, Jake and his entire family leave their native home and fly away on their scouts. After flying for a few days, they finally arrive at a place called Meta where another Navi tribe lives. Surprisingly, the Navi is living here or fainter in color and they prefer her to stay in the water. Seeing Jake and his gang, they start making fun of their appearance. Soon the head of the tribe, Eternal Worry, arrives with his wife. He feels skeptical about Jake and his family and mentions that they're not suited to survive in the water. However, desperate to save his family, Jake promises that they will adapt to the place in no time. He then reveals how they are chased after by some humans. Hearing this, Total Worry finally agreed to let them stay and provides them with shelter. He also asks his children to teach Jake's children how to swim and use their special creatures to move around the water. Obliging to the request, Total Worry's children take their new friends to the ocean and start showing them the basics. Meanwhile, the ever so mischievous Loak tries to connect with a sea creature but loses control and falls into the water. Seeing him, his children start laughing as all this is happening. The girl Kiri can be seen deep inside the ocean. Surprisingly, she is adapted well to the place and can even control some sea creatures. Mysterious and convenience. The following day, while curious meditating underwater tunnel or a sun, an egg and his friends approach her and start making fun of her, calling her a freak because of the slow. Acker arrives and punches an egg and doesn't take this sitting down now and starts clapping some ass with his take tail. Later, when Jake finds out about the incident, he angrily orders his son to go and apologize to an egg as he is the clan leader's son. Reluctantly, Loak agrees and says sorry, although Anan forgives him in front of the others. Deep down, he is still angry, so in order to teach like a lesson, he takes him to his scheduled location on the pretext of swimming. Loak is completely oblivious that there are dangerous sea predators in the area. A while later, when Lo is fishing, a large predator swims at him. Rapidly terrified, afraid, Lo looks around for help but fails to find anyone. By just then, a humongous creature named Payakan comes to the rescue. It swiftly kills the predator with the help of its wide head. Here we get to know that Payakan is a Tolkut, a peaceful and intelligent creature. There are thousands of tokens in the sea which the Meta regard as their spiritual family. Payakan is the largest and mightiest of them all. In the meantime, Loak is rescued and brought to the surface by Payakan. The latter also helps the creature by pulling out some harpoons which were apparently hurting out with this to create a beautiful bonds. Befriend each other. The heck even climb through his blowhole. It's disgusting. Later, when Loa reaches land, he is called up by Tony. Worry district leader is found out about his son's shenanigans and wants and on to apologize. However, the selfless Loa accepts responsibility for his actions and lies that Anan had nothing to do with that. This finally makes Earning understand that the new Naviers are not so bad after all. After some time, Loak reunites with his brother in France and explains how Payakan saved his life. To his surprise, no one believes him. Instead, they reveal that Payakan is a killer and that's why it was abandoned by the other tokens. On the other hand, Spider briefs the colonel about some Avi culture and takes him to the Hallelujah Mountains to select a scout for him. At first, the colonel struggles with, soon he gets the hang of it and flies out. Shortly after, he also gets information about Jake's possible location and heads towards the Metkana Reef with his army. On arriving, he confronts some of the Soras and inquires if they know Jake. When the Navi say no, all the evil humans kill one of them and also burn their houses. Despite this, the Navi stand by their statements. Left with no options, the colonel signals his team to go for plan B. Now he wants to kill the tokens in large numbers, hoping that this will finally draw out Jake. But there is another advantage to killing them. The tokens have a precious liquid inside their brains which can increase the longevity of life on Earth. A single liter of this liquid will go for millions. Space whale brain goop, the only resource more valuable than unobtainium. Soon some hunters start chasing after the sea monsters. They strike a numerous tracker into them and render them unconscious. In a heartbreaking scene, we can see a mother, their Tokon, brutally laid to death while her offspring leased by her. In shock, the humans eventually leave with the tracker still inside the tokens. When the Metkana discover that their friends are getting killed, they become angry and decide to engage with the attackers. However, Jake calms them down and mentions that they need to inform the tokens about the tracker first. This is the only way that they can prevent a future strike. As soon as Loras hears this, he leaves to inform his best friend Payakan about it, and a few other locals also join him. After a while, they eventually meet Payakan and prepare to pull the tracker out of him. But just then, the colonel and his hunting crew arrived in their valet ship. After seeing them, Loak connects to his father and info warn some about the situation in the nick of time. He and his friends also manage to pull the tracker from Pi Icon's body. After this, they hide underwater while the Colonel's crew starts looking for them. Meanwhile, Jake approaches Total War and informs him that their children are missing. This worries the latter, and he quickly orders his people to prepare for war. Jake and Neytiri also grab their weapons and all of them collectively head towards the battlefield. On the other hand, the Colonel orders his crew to launch their attack on the Tokens and find Jake's children. After searching for a while, they eventually find Kiri and Token capture them in a net. Loak tries his best to tear the net but get himself pulled to the Wale ship with it. Soon the Colonel arrives and cuffs them to the railing of the chef. He then takes Loak's color transmitter and asks Jake to surrender for the safety of his children. Having no options, Jake agrees to his conditions. At the same time, Picos notices his best friend the Loak handcuffed to the deck and decides to save him. In a risky move, he suddenly jumps onto the deck and starts moving his massive fans, thus throws away a lot of soldiers and obliterates the ship. Taking advantage of the distraction, Jake and the medical also launch their attack on the Colonel and his army. They want to save their children, but they also want revenge. Meanwhile, Spider breaks the controller of the Wale ship, causing it to strike the rocks and allow water to fill inside it. Next, Jake and his eldest son, the Quick early climb the deck and free Loak, Suck and Curie. Then they order the children to return to safety, but although Act refuses, instead he decides to save his adopted brother Spider. Hayam also joins him, and after a bit of searching they find Spider. When they are about to leave the ship, the Colonel notices them and opens fire. Unfortunately, that Hayam get hit by one of the bullets and is severely injured. Loak and Spider immediately taken to the shore to their mother, but because of the excessive blood loss he passes away. Seeing her son dive right in front of her eyes, Neytiri starts crying and screaming loudly. Meanwhile, the evil Colonel manages to capture Kiri and Search using his scout. He later connects with Jake and reveals that both his two daughters are with him. After getting this information, Jake somehow calms Neytiri down and persuades her to join him and save their daughters. The latter obliges, and filled with rage, she calls her scout team, grabs her bow and arrows, and goes flying towards the ship. Soon Jake approaches the ship and causes an explosion, killing the Colonel's man. Neytiri also arrives there and starts shooting arrows at the remaining humans, killing them all instantly. Meanwhile, Jake finds his little daughter Token, frees her, but at the same time the Colonel also shows up. He is holding Kiri at knife point. He threatens Jake to put down his weapons, and the latter reluctantly does so. In the meantime, a vengeful Neytiri captures Spider and threatens to kill him. At first, the Colonel mentions that he has no relationship with Spider, but when Neytiri makes a small cut in the boy's chest, he immediately leaves Carrie. With this, Neytiri and her family prepare to leave, but the Colonel mentions that he will again hunt Jake down and kill him. Later, Jake realizes that he needs to eliminate the Colonel to live a peaceful life, hence he returns to the battlefield. This time the arch-rivals fight each other in an old-fashioned fist fight. It is a brutal one, and the two match each other stride for stride, but in the end it is a hero, Jake, who prevails. He manages to wrap his arms around the Colonel's neck and knocked him unconscious. Jake assumes that he is dead and lets him drown in the water. Unfortunately, he too struggles to breathe and starts sinking to the bottom, but at the same time Loak comes to his rescue and brings him to the surface. Later, Akon carries the whole family and brings them to the shore. On the other hand, Spider also pulls his biological dad out of the water and saves his life, but when the Colonel asks him to leave the place with him, Spider refuses and returns to his adoptive family. In the last scene, Jake's family in the hole met Kane, a tribe bury in that Ham's body at the bottom of the ocean where the lighting tubes embrace him like their own. The movie ends with Jake remembering the best memories of his elder son and realizing that he is in heaven with their gods. Like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.